I went home for Christmas. First time back in over a year. And everything was the same. The house, the people, the conversations, the noise, the pace of everything. Everything except me. I realized it about 2 days in. I was sitting at the family table, people talking over each other, television on in the background, everyone moving fast through the meal. And I felt slightly foreign. Not uncomfortable. Not unhappy. Just not quite who I used to be in that room. And the thing that unsettled me wasn't feeling different. It was that I had no idea when it had happened. The changes didn't announce themselves. That's the thing about the way Ireland works on you. It's not dramatic. There's no moment where you think, right, I am becoming a different person now. It's more like, one day you realize you've been taking the longer route home for months because you like how it feels, and you genuinely cannot remember deciding to do that. Or you notice you've stopped eating at your desk. Not because you made a rule, not because you read something telling you to. You just stopped. Because at some point it started to feel wrong in a way it never had before. Or someone asks if you can talk for a minute and you say yes. Actually meaning it, not already looking for the exit. And the call goes 40 minutes and you realize you didn't once check the time. Small things. Invisible things. The kind that only become visible when something forces a comparison. Christmas was that comparison. 12 months in Ireland, then 4 days back in the life I'd left. The contrast was sharp enough to be uncomfortable. The noise that used to feel normal suddenly felt like a lot. The speed of conversations. The way everyone was always half somewhere else. The meal that was finished before I'd gotten through half of what was on my plate. I wasn't judging any of it. These were my people. This was my home. I loved being there. But I was watching it from a slightly different angle than I used to. And I hadn't planned that. My sister said it on day 3. Just casually. Pouring coffee. Not making a big deal of it. You've changed. I asked her what she meant. She thought about it for a second. You're slower, she said. In a good way. Like you're actually here. I didn't know what to say. I just said thank you. But I sat with it for the rest of the day. Because she was right. And I genuinely hadn't noticed until she said it out loud. Ireland doesn't teach you things directly. There are no lessons. Nobody sits you down and explains how to be different. It just creates conditions. Quiet enough, slow enough, patient enough conditions that something in you starts to respond. And the responding happens so far underneath everything that you can't watch it while it's happening. I've tried to pinpoint exactly when specific things changed, and I usually can't. I know that at some point I stopped finding silence uncomfortable. I know that at some point I started leaving my phone in the other room in the evenings. Not as a strategy, not because I'd read about the benefits, just because I didn't feel like having it there. But I don't know the day those things happened. They just quietly became true. I think it's the pace of everything here. When you're surrounded by people who don't rush, who genuinely, culturally, don't treat speed as proof that you're doing well, you start to absorb it. Not immediately, but over months, your nervous system adjusts. The baseline shifts. What used to feel like a normal speed starts to feel urgent. What used to feel slow starts to feel right. The conversations here changed me too. Irish people, once you get past the surface level, say true things. Uncomfortable true things, sometimes. Not cruelly, but honestly. And being around that kind of honesty over time makes you more honest with yourself. You start catching yourself when you're performing. When you're saying what you're supposed to say instead of what you actually think. Once you notice that habit, you can't unnotice it. The weather taught me something too, and I'm serious about this even though it sounds small. Living somewhere the weather can completely change in an hour teaches you to hold your plans loosely. To adapt without making it a whole thing. I didn't know I'd learned that until Christmas, when something changed last minute, and everyone around me was stressed, and I genuinely wasn't. Not pretending, just wasn't. That was new. The question I've been sitting with lately is whether the old me would recognize the new one. I'm not sure. The old me moved fast. Not because I had to, because standing still felt like falling behind. I ate while walking. I planned while resting. I answered emails immediately not because they needed it, but because leaving them felt like something was wrong with me. I was good at optimizing time, energy, output. I was efficient. I was also, and I say this without drama, exhausted. Constantly. In a way I had completely normalized and stopped feeling. I don't do most of those things anymore. Not because I decided to change them. They just faded. Ireland replaced them with something slower, and I'll just say it honestly, better. Not more impressive from the outside. Not more productive. Better in the way that I wake up in the morning and I don't immediately feel behind. That didn't used to be true. I've also become more comfortable being wrong. That's a specific change I can actually track. Being wrong used to feel threatening to me, like it said something about me that I had to defend against. Now it doesn't land the same way. Being wrong is just information. Ireland did this through the sheer number of things you get wrong when you're new somewhere. You misread people. You say the wrong thing without realizing it. You get the social signals wrong constantly. And life continues. Nobody thinks less of you. And eventually you stop thinking less of yourself for it. Here's what I want to say about slow change, because I think it matters more than we admit. The things that change you slowly are the real things. The dramatic changes, the decisions made in a moment, the things that feel significant at the time, a lot of those don't stick. But the slow ones do. The ones that happen in the background while you're busy just trying to live your life. Those go all the way down. Ireland changed me that way. Not because I chose it. Not because I worked at it. Just because I was here long enough, and still enough, for it to happen. I went back home at Christmas feeling like a stranger in a familiar room. And I could have been upset about that. But I wasn't. Because the person sitting at that table, feeling slightly foreign in a place they'd always belonged, that person was finally, actually, genuinely there. Not half somewhere else. Not already on to the next thing. Just there. And that felt like enough. More than enough. That felt like a lot. If you've ever come back from somewhere and felt like a slightly different person in a room you know perfectly well, you know what I'm talking about. That gap between who you were and who you've been quietly becoming. This channel is for that. For the changes that don't announce themselves. Subscribe if you want more of this. And leave a comment below. Tell me, is there something about you that changed without you deciding to change it? I'd love to know. I'll read every single one. And I'll be here,